So let's talk about the recent Supreme Court ruling out of New York. The New York case involved two gentlemen who tried to obtain carry permits in New York. Now, unlike 40 plus other states around the country, New York is what's called a may issue state. The other states, 40 plus, are what's called shall issue states. In a shall issue state, if you meet certain objective criteria, the state shall issue you a permit. In New York, the state may issue you a permit, and even then, you must demonstrate a need beyond that of the normal person who's interested in carrying a gun for self-defense. So, for example, if you're a single mom, live in a high crime area, have to come home late at night through a crime-ridden area, and you apply and you say, I really need to carry a gun for those purposes, the state would deny that and say, no, you must demonstrate something beyond just wanting a gun for self-defense. So these two folks were denied a permit, they challenged it, and the United States Supreme Court ruled that no, the Second Amendment protects the right to carry firearms outside the home, and that the state could not deny the permits for that special reason to carry for self-defense. So how did the justices rule? The justices ruled in a 6-3 decision that the Second Amendment protects the right to carry a firearm outside the home. The judges did not rule that you couldn't require a permit to carry a firearm, and the judges did not rule that every person on the planet can walk around with a firearm. And the judges also did not rule that you couldn't have restrictions on where you can carry that firearm. It was merely a ruling that the Second Amendment protects that right, and the states are free to impose reasonable regulations on those rights. So there's a number of misconceptions about this ruling, particularly the way it's been portrayed in the media. The ruling does not establish a right for everyone in the entire United States to walk around with a firearm. It does not abolish the rights of states to impose requirements on persons who carry those firearms, and it doesn't say states cannot make someone have a permit to carry a firearm. So how does this impact New Yorkers today and folks who want to carry firearms for self-defense in New York? In my opinion, it does not impact their rights whatsoever today. Please do not run outside without a permit and try to carry your firearm around New York. You will most likely be arrested. Maybe, perhaps, several years down the road, you'll be exonerated because that arrest was ruled unconstitutional, or the statute under which they charge you is ruled unconstitutional, but please do not do that today. So how could this affect New Yorkers in the long term? Well, one, the state has already said they're going to tweak their laws so that you can get a firearms permit in New York. However, they are going to make it very, very difficult to get that permit. So at some point, yes, you may be able to apply, and if you meet their requirements, you may be able to get a firearms permit, and you may be able to carry a firearm for self-defense purposes in public in New York. All right, so folks who are planning on visiting New York, someone going to New York this summer, as a gun owner, does this impact your rights? If you are going to New York and you're planning on bringing your firearm, do not do so. This does not impact your rights whatsoever. Before and after the ruling, if you do not have a valid permit in New York, you will be arrested and you will be charged. You will be in serious trouble. All right, so does this ruling affect states besides New York that have similar regulations to New York and similar permitting requirements? The answer is yes and no. Right now, it does not. I would not take a gun over to California right now without a permit. You will be arrested. In the long term, those states are going to have to tweak their permitting requirements to comply with this Supreme Court decision. So in the future, yes, it might get easier in, say, New York, California, New Jersey to get a firearms permit. So with this ruling, are regulations applicable to gun owners likely to get more complicated or more simple? I think it's going to depend upon the state. In the states that already have permitting requirements or already have permitless carry, the law is probably going to stay the same. In the states impacted by this ruling, say California, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, the laws are probably going to get more complicated. These states are not going to back down. Back when the Heller decision came down, everyone thought, oh wow, now DC is going to abolish their restrictions on handgun carry. No, they did not do that. DC went back and tweaked their rulings to comply with the Supreme Court ruling, but still made it very, very difficult for gun owners. California, when Heller came down, didn't even have anything to do with California. They went and tweaked their gun laws just to comply with this decision, but they still made it exceedingly difficult on gun owners. Does this ruling impact the ability of criminals to acquire and carry firearms? No, absolutely does not. In fact, the opinion makes clear that states can still impose reasonable requirements on who can own and carry firearms. And one of those requirements that's both federal and almost every state in the United States is felons cannot carry or own firearms. So in my opinion, how does this affect people's safety? In my opinion, this decision promotes safety for responsible gun owners, responsible citizens. Folks in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, California will, hopefully, now be able to lawfully obtain permits to lawfully carry firearms for the purposes of self-defense.